In the restless heart of Lagos, where downfalls hissed like angry serpents and the city lights trembled against the night air, lived a young teacher named Chidi Maduka. He was a man carved from the quiet corners of life, gentle, brilliant, disciplined, but imprisoned by poverty strong enough to bend any dream. Every morning he woke in his cramped one-room apartment in Ajigona, listening to the neighbors quarrel over Nipa, before squeezing himself into a bus packed with half-asleep workers heading to the island. Yet Chidi carried something rare in Lagos, a clean spirit. People whispered that his goodness came from the prayers of his late grandmother, Mama Ikioma, who used to say, "Nwokom, the world may forget kindness, but the spirits never do." He taught literature at a modest private school in Victoria Island. His salary barely survived 2 weeks, but he taught like a man born for chalk and destiny. Students loved him, especially because he made books breathe. Even Shakespeare felt like a Lagos neighbor when Chidi explained him. And then Amarachi walked into his classroom. She was not a student, far from it. Amarachi Williams, daughter of Chief Damian Williams, one of the richest men in Lagos, had come to volunteer for a charity project the school partnered with. Her beauty was not the loud kind, it was graceful, like soft rain on dry earth. She carried herself with the confidence of someone raised in wealth, but her smile, her smile had the humility of a child who still knelt for her elders. The teachers whispered immediately, "See Billionaire Pikino, her father owns half of Banana Island, fine girl like this won't even look at someone like Chidi." But the world does not always bow to expectations. Their first conversation was accidental. Amarachi had dropped her notebook, and Chidi reached it before her. "Thank you," she said with a warm smile. "You're welcome," he replied, trying not to stare too long. From that day, their paths crossed more often. She visited the school frequently, curious about the students, impressed by Chidi's teaching style. She would stand by the window of his classroom, watching him explain, things fall apart, as if Chinua Achebe lived inside him. One afternoon, she approached him outside the staff room. "Mr. Chidi, have you ever thought of teaching in bigger schools?" she asked. He chuckled. "Miss Amarachi, big schools require big connections." "Then maybe you should start making some," she teased gently. It was innocent at first, talks about literature, life, Lagos traffic, her charity work, his dreams. But feelings are like the Lagos lagoon, calm on the surface, but unpredictable underneath. Even the teachers noticed. "Be careful," Mrs. Olabisai warned him one evening. "That girl's world is not your world." But love does not fear mountains, it climbs them blindly. One Saturday, Amarachi invited him to a charity event her foundation was hosting in Lekki. Chidi went in his only good shirt, the one he ironed so carefully that he whispered to it, "Don't disgrace me today." When he arrived at the venue, he almost turned back. The cars parked outside were worth more than his entire street in Ajigona. But Amarachi spotted him and waved excitedly, like a child seeing a favorite uncle. "You came," she said, delighted. "You invited me," he replied. They spent the day together, sharing laughter, exchanging stories, moving like two people whose spirits had already chosen each other. When the sun began to fall, she leaned closer and said, "Chidi, I'm glad we met." He swallowed hard. "Me too." Something shifted in that moment, not love fully, but its quiet beginning. But Lagos is a city that listens to footsteps. And it remembers secrets. Hey dear, if you are loving this story, kindly take a moment to subscribe to this channel, hit the like button, and share. Now back to the story. Later that evening, while Chidi waited for a kiki to take him back to Ajigona, a frail old woman dressed in faded ankara approached him from nowhere. Her eyes were cloudy, like she had seen too much. "Young man," she said, her voice trembling with something deeper than age. Your life is about to enter a storm. The path you walk, it carries shadows from your past. Chidi froze. Mama, I don't understand. The woman shook her head slowly. Every secret buried in darkness will one day demand its own sunrise. He instinctively stepped back. Who are you? But before he could blink, the woman melted into the crowd, gone as if she was never there. His heart pounded. Old memories he had fought to forget clawed at his mind. That night, as he lay on his weak mattress, Amarachi's laughter echoed in his head, but so did the old woman's warning. Some secrets do not sleep forever. And in the deep corners of Lagos, one of Chidi's secrets was already waking up, stretching like a beast ready to hunt. Because someone had just discovered who he really was. Lagos woke before dawn, as it always did, grumbling, honking, bustling, alive. But Chidi Maduka woke with something heavier than the morning heat pressing on his chest. The old woman's words from the night before echoed in his skull like distant drums. Every secret buried in darkness will one day demand its own sunrise. He tried to convince himself it was nothing, just a random Lagos wanderer speaking nonsense. But deep inside, in the chamber where a man hides what he fears most, Chidi knew better. Because he did have a secret. One that could break a life. One that could destroy love before it even had a name. But he pushed the thought aside as he prepared for school. Life did not stop because of warnings, especially not in Lagos. At the school gates, the security man, Boba Sola, greeted him with unusual seriousness. Oga teacher, he said, leaning closer, one man they asked for you this morning. Chidi stiffened. Ask for me. Who? Tall man. Dark glasses. No smile. No name. Him just talk say, tell Mr. Chidi I came. He will understand. Then he walker enter motor. A cold tremor crawled down Chidi's back. He did understand. There were only a few people who could send such a message. And none of them meant well. Still, he smiled weakly. Thank you, Boba Sola. Throughout the morning, he thought like a man whose mind was split between the classroom and a distant battlefield. Words slipped from his tongue automatically, but his spirit was not in the room. When Amarachi arrived, she noticed immediately. Chidi, are you all right? She whispered after class. He forced a smile. I'm fine. Just tired. You don't look fine. Her eyes were soft with concern, the kind that made his heart ache. He wanted to tell her everything, his past, his fears, the truth that could tear them apart, but he swallowed it. Some truths, he believed, were better left buried. But fate had no intention of letting secrets rest. That evening, Amarachi invited him again to a quiet cafe on Victoria Island. She said she just wanted to share fresh air and conversation, but the moment he arrived, he saw the tension on her face. Chidi, she began, stirring her drink nervously, my father wants to meet you. His heart almost jumped out of his chest. Meet me? Why? Because, she said softly, lowering her eyes, I told him about you. The cup nearly slipped from his hand. You told him? Yes. Not everything. Just that you're my friend. That you mentor the students. That you're someone special. She smiled shyly. He wanted to meet the person who has my respect. Chidi felt the room tilt. Chief Damian Williams was not just a billionaire, he was a lion in human skin. A man whose influence stretched across Lagos like a shadow. A man who controlled politicians, corporations, and destinies. A man who would never allow his only daughter to choose a poor teacher. Amarachi, Chidi's voice quivered. You shouldn't have told him anything about me. She frowned. Why? Did I do something wrong? He opened his mouth to answer, but stopped. How could he explain what he didn't want to confess? That he wasn't the kind of man a billionaire's daughter should present to her family. That his past was a darkness even he was trying to outrun. Forget it, he whispered. I'm not sure meeting your father is a good idea. But I want him to know you, she insisted. You're a good man, Chidi. Her faith in him, so simple, so pure, felt like a knife. He wanted to believe he deserved her trust. But destiny was already shifting beneath their feet. Later that night, as he walked home through a narrow Ajigono street, he sensed he was being followed. Footsteps behind him. Slow. Deliberate. Chidi quickened his pace. The footsteps quickened too. He turned the corner sharply, but the street was dim. Before he could react, rough hands grabbed him and slammed him against a wall. Omo teacher, a voice whispered from the shadows, you one day hide ABI. Chidi's breath froze. The voice was too familiar. Out of the darkness stepped Kolu, Stoneface Onomba, a man Chidi hoped never to see again. Stoneface used to be part of a gang Chidi had escaped from years ago, a gang that made money not from sweat, but from fear. You dey form respectable person now. Stoneface sneered. Teacher. Gentleman. You think say Lagos forgets who you be. I left that life, Chidi muttered, trembling. I'm not part of you people anymore. Stoneface laughed bitterly. Nobody leaves us. You know the rule. 2 more men appeared behind him. For months we find you, Stoneface continued. Now we hear say you dey follow big man picking around Lagos. That keen opportunity no be for you alone. Chidi felt blood drain from his face. What do you want? Stoneface smiled, a slow, deadly smile. We want everything. Money. Access. And that your billionaire friend. You go help us enter that world. Or. He leaned close, his breath hot on Chidi's face. We will expose who you truly are. Chidi shook violently. Please. Don't go near her. Then cooperate, Stoneface said coldly. Chidi swallowed the rising terror. What do you want me to do? Stoneface's eyes glittered. You go meet her father. Chidi's heart stopped. And through you, Stoneface said, tapping his chest, we go enter the Williams family. He released Chidi and stepped back. We meet again soon, my guy. Don't try nonsense. We dey watch you. They vanished into the night, leaving Chidi shaking like a leaf in harmattan wind. He slid down to the ground, clutching his chest, eyes burning. Now he understood. The old woman's warning. The mysterious man asking for him. The shadows following him. Everything was closing in. And Amarachi. Sweet, innocent Amarachi. She had no idea she was walking into a storm because of him. As Chidi struggled to breathe, his phone buzzed. A message from Amarachi. My dad wants to see you tomorrow evening. Please say yes. Chidi stared at the screen, frozen, broken, terrified. For the first time since their paths crossed, he whispered. Amarachi. I might destroy your life. Night fell over Lagos like a thick curtain, swallowing the restless city in shadows. But in Chidi Maduka's heart, night had arrived long before the sun disappeared. He barely slept. Every second felt like a countdown, toward destruction, toward revelation, toward the past he had buried under years of struggle and good intentions. He sat on the edge of his weak mattress, staring at the message Amarachi had sent. My dad wants to see you tomorrow evening. Please say yes. Yes. A simple word. Yet in that moment, it felt like a death sentence. because meeting Chief Damian Williams now was not just about love. It was about survival. It was about a ruthless gang watching him from the shadows, demanding he open a door into a billionaire's world. It was about a secret capable of snapping Amarachi's heart like dry wood. And still, Chidi could not bring himself to say no. At dawn, he washed his face in a small plastic bowl, staring at his reflection. The man in the water looked older, harder, someone shaped by struggle. Someone whose past still owned him. But he whispered to himself, no matter what happens tonight, Amarachi must not suffer because of me. The Williams mansion in Banana Island looked like something from another world. Tall iron gates. Security guards with rifles. A compound so large it could house Chidi's entire neighborhood. He felt small walking up the marble steps, but he straightened his shoulders. If he was entering the lion's den, he would enter like a man. Inside, Amarachi welcomed him with a nervous smile. She wore a simple flowing gown, her hair tied back, yet she still looked like royalty. Chidi, I'm glad you came. Her hand brushed his. His heart tightened painfully. I came because you asked me to. Her smile softened. But her eyes gave away her worry. Daddy is waiting in the study. Chidi nodded, but his stomach twisted. Every step toward that study felt like he was walking toward the mouth of fate. When the door opened, Chief Damian Williams sat behind a large mahogany desk, broad-shouldered, gray-haired, powerful, and intimidating. His presence filled the room like a storm. He didn't stand. He didn't smile. He simply studied Chidi the way a hawk studies a rabbit. So, Chief Damian said finally, you are the teacher my daughter speaks highly of. Yes, sir, Chidi answered, bowing slightly. The chief's fingers tapped his desk. Sit. Chidi sat. I like to know the type of people who enter my daughter's life, the chief began. Tell me about yourself. Chidi swallowed. This was normal for any protective father. But tonight, there was nothing normal in the air. Everything felt sharp, fragile. I am a literature teacher at Gracefield Academy. I was raised by my grandmother. I try to walk a good path, sir. The chief raised a brow. A good path. Lagos is full of men who pretend to be saints. Amarachi tells me you are humble, intelligent, principled. I want to believe that. I try, sir. The chief's eyes narrowed. What do you want from my daughter? Chidi's chest tightened. He hadn't expected the question so soon. Respectfully, sir. Amarachi is my friend. And nothing more. Chidi hesitated. That hesitation was the first crack in the room. The chief leaned forward. Listen to me carefully. My daughter will not end up with someone who seeks to use her, drain her, or bring shame to my family. If you have any intention, to climb above your place using her, walk out now. Chidi felt the weight of the words. His place. The invisible barrier between the rich and the poor. Between their worlds. I would never hurt her, Chidi whispered. Good. The chief relaxed slightly. Then we understand each other. But before the moment could settle, the study door opened. A security officer whispered something urgently into the chief's ear. The chief's face hardened instantly. What did you say? Sir, there are 3 men outside the gate. They say they are Mr. Chidi's friends. They are demanding to see him. They mentioned business. Chidi's blood ran cold. Storm face. They had come. Not tomorrow. Not later. Now. Chief Damian slowly turned to him. Mr. Chidi, do you have an explanation? Amarachi's eyes widened in shock. Friends. What friends? Chidi stood, shaking. Sir. Amarachi. I need to explain something. I have a past. One I've tried to run from. Those men are not my friends. They are danger. He took a trembling breath. There are things about me you don't know. Things I feared would destroy everything. The chief rose to his feet, fury gathering like thunderclouds. Are you bringing criminals to my home? No. Chidi cried. I swear I never wanted. Suddenly, a loud commotion erupted outside. Shouting. Running footsteps. Clashing sounds. The chief's security team scrambled. Amarachi grabbed Chidi's hand, terrified. Chidi, what is happening? Who are those people? Chidi felt his soul crack open. They are from the life I escaped, he whispered. They want to use you. They want to use your father. And they will not stop. Her eyes filled with fear. Chidi, what have you done? Before he could answer, the study door burst open. A guard shouted. Sir. The men forced their way in. They say if Mr. Chidi doesn't come out immediately, someone will get hurt. Chief Damian's face turned stone. Chidi Maduka, he growled, you will explain everything. Now. But Chidi was already walking toward the door, toward the threat. Toward Stormface. Toward a destiny he could no longer outrun. He whispered one last sentence, more to himself than anyone else. Tonight, everything ends. And as he stepped out, Amarachi screamed. Chidi, don't go. But the door slammed shut behind him. And darkness swallowed the hallway.